Alrighty, good morning everybody. We are going to get started here. This is George Bandarian, President and CEO of AMI. Welcome. Let's see here. Hopefully all systems are go. Hopefully you can hear me nice and clear. You should be seeing the welcome slide on my second monitor. If somebody can just put into the chat box or the question box that you can hear me clearly and you can see my screen, I'd appreciate that. I'm kind of doing this solo today. Don't be shy. This is going to be interactive today, very interactive. We're going to do polls. We're going to have fun. We're going to talk. Good. Thank you, Ashley and Mr. Viking. Awesome. So let's go ahead and get started. Just one thing here. All right, perfect. Let's rock and roll. Okay, so welcome again. Today's webinar is how to navigate and preferably leapfrog the 5 stages of digital transformation. Just a couple quick housekeeping items before we start. Make sure you've entered your audio PIN. That will allow the system and for us to know who you are. And so when you do your poll and when you ask questions, it'll be clear as opposed to phone caller number 549. We are gonna, everybody is in listen only mode, which is a fancy way of saying you're muted. But that doesn't mean you can take other calls or check emails. Digital transformation is very important. And you owe it to yourself and your organization to just shut everything down for the next hour, give it your full attention, and I promise I'll make it worth your while. Feel free to take any notes if you wish, but the session is being recorded, and we'll be distributing that along with the slide deck afterwards. So again, it's going to be interactive, like I said, and I do want to get everybody in the habit of doing that. So just starting off, would love to just kind of put into the questions box your name, where you're logging in from, and just the one thing that's on your mind as we get started here talking about digital transformation today. And that way I know I'm not talking to myself, and don't be shy. So let's see who's jumping on that. Looks like we have Gail from Escondido. We have David from SoCal. Francine from Inglewood. Rachel from Arcadia. We have Miriam from Insight. Awesome, awesome. Thank you, everybody. Cool. All right, now I feel like we're all together. Ashley from Poway. All right. Oops. All right, so you're in the right place if you're completely new to digital transformation and you want to learn how to do it right, not waste a bunch of time. We are going to kind of cover the building blocks, the starting point. Also, if you have some experience with it and you're looking to get to the next level, we're going to help with that as well. We have a lot of current customers on the line, as well as brand new people. And we've done our best to make it applicable to everybody. So here's what you're going to learn, as we promised in some of the emails and the reach outs to you guys. We're going to share the 5 strategic phases of digital transformation, the key pain points that could be solved in each phase, and the rewards you can expect. We're going to provide a kind of a structured framework for being able to discuss it internally with your department, with other departments, with management, and we're going to share some secrets to leapfrog and get to the next level. We're going to provide a personalized assessment. We'll provide a link which allow you guys to take a quiz and get an idea of where you're at. And then I'll share some of the common challenges. We had a lot of interesting feedback from you guys when you filled out the registration, and there was 2 questions at the end on the second page which said, what's your #1 challenge and what are you hoping to learn today? And that was actually really helpful. It helped kind of guide me in the finishing touches and making sure that we covered everything you wanted And some of the feedback that I got is, how do we get buy-in from other departments? How do we present to management? How do we budget? One that came up a few times was, how do we manage the change? So I've included that over the last couple of days. We're going to provide a sneak peek demo and plenty of time for Q&A. So we have a full plate. I need to do a good job of keeping an eye on the time, and we'll be fine. We should end right at the top of the hour. Okay. So, and make sure you do stay until the end, because we always have nice bonuses, surprises, and giveaways. So there's 3 things we have in mind for you. As long as you stay until the end, you'll get a 1-page cheat sheet that you could use that kind of summarizes this whole hour of what we've talked about. It's also a good way to kind of share with your colleagues and have internal conversations. I'll provide you the link to the personalized assessment like we talked about. And also, I'll throw out a special offer for a roadmap, a digital transformation roadmap. Typically, we would charge over $2,000 for something like that, but we're going to give it away, and I'll talk more about that at the end. Okay, so who am I, and why have I earned the right to talk to you about this today? Well, that's me over there with my wife, Miriam, my son, GB3, George Bandarian III, and my other son in her belly, GB4. No, I'm just kidding. We haven't chosen his name yet, and we're standing in front of our new house. We just moved in on Father's Day, so I'm really excited about that, and I'm sharing that with you. But the reason I think I'm qualified to talk about this today is I've been doing digital transformation for over 15 years before the term was even made up, before they even coined the term digital transformation. So had a lot of experience working with a lot of customers in a lot of different industries, and really excited to be presenting this to you. I'm not going to pitch us or my company. I just want to establish a little bit of credibility. We have a lot of people that don't know who we are. We've been around for 50 years, providing full service digital transformation solutions. We're based in downtown LA. We're all about delight, customer delight, employee delight, vendor delight, and our NPS scores back that up. As you can see, we have a 76 NPS, which kind of puts us on the chart on the left, somewhere between Nordstrom and Costco. So we're in good company there. And we're just so confident in everything we do. We back it with our AMI assurance, which is our 100% money back guarantee. So that kind of sets us apart. We have a lot of good customers, as I mentioned, in a lot of different industries. That's all I really want to share. Again, I just wanted to establish a tiny bit of credibility for myself and AMI. And so now we can dive right into the content. So I've been pondering this question. Many of the customers that we work with are not digital businesses like the Facebooks and Googles and Amazons and Apples of the world. They're analog businesses by nature. Government, cities, police departments, education, colleges, school districts, universities, manufacturing, aerospace, insurance, financial services. So what's the best way to progress as easily and quickly through the digital transformation journey? And well, I guess in order to answer that, we first need to define what digital transformation is. So one of the analysts out there, this is kind of my best public definition that I like, the realignment of or investment in new technology, business models, and processes to drive value for customers and employees and more effectively compete in an ever-changing digital economy. All right, that's good. Here's the one I came up with. Tell me which one you like better. Our acceptance of and response to the fact that our customers, employees, and vendors expect almost everything to be digital, instant, accessible, and real-time, and that this requirement is only going to grow exponentially with boomers retiring and millennials taking over. That's what digital transformation is. It's turning everything that we do into a digital system, a digital process, so our employees can work digitally, our customers can interact with us digitally, and even our vendors and everybody else that's all of the stakeholders that are associated with us. Now, all of this starts, step one is with the customer journey. So what we always recommend is start with mapping your customer journey. And this applies to everybody. So if I'm a school, I need to understand what a high school student is thinking and feeling from the time they're in high school, applying to college. They're probably visiting us on our website as a starting point, all the way through to graduation. What is that millennial thinking and feeling? And we need to map that journey. If I'm a city, I need to ask how does the public want to interact with me and talk to me and share their concerns with me and access documents for me and get answers for me. How do homeowners want to get a permit, as an example? If I'm an insurance provider, how do my agents and my insured expect an application process to go? What about when they need to file a claim? How about employees? How do they want to work? Do we think that any of these scenarios would involve paper? Do we think that anybody would want to deal with filing cabinets? We'll come back to that a little later on. So this is huge. IDC, one of the research firms, in their Futurescape model, which looks at the trends, said that they're seeing tremendous momentum in the influence of digital transformation on technology spending across geographies and industries. It's a board-level initiative. It's at the heart of business strategies for companies of all sizes. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anything as broad. They're basically saying every geography, every industry, every size, it's a board-level initiative. It's the heart of everything. And it's a potential of over $18 trillion of new value. And I really like that because they didn't say, this is not a business or a market. It's not like there's a software that they're valuing. They're valuing the value of what digital transformation is going to provide to you guys, the people that make that transition. So it's huge. There's a lot of research out there. I started to kind of put stuff together, and these maps are just getting kind of more and more complicated. There's a lot of vendors and a lot of people and a lot of spaces. But as one of my good friends once said, everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. Okay, fine. He wasn't one of my good friends, but I wish he was. That'd be pretty cool. So luckily, our good friends at Laserfish recently came out with a model that did simplify it. So this is the easy-to-understand 5-phase digital transformation model. I'm going to explain each one very quickly. We're going to do a poll to see where each of you are currently at, and then we'll deep dive each one. So let's get started. First step. Everything starts with digitizing documents. We just got to scan the paper into an electronic file cabinet for digital archiving and retrieval. We're just focused on getting rid of paper. Pretty simple. We'll go into more details later. Oops. Next step, organizing documents. So we want to be able to automate as much as possible, getting the documents in. We want to have a secure, searchable system. We don't want to just have PDFs that aren't secure or searchable. We want to have a good system. From there, we want to go into automating processes where we can use things like electronic forms and workflows to digitize processes and improve accountability. From there, streamlining processes. And so what we mean by that is being able to have operational transparency and efficiency of cross-functional processes. So we kind of differentiate. Automate is like the first step of automating, and then streamlining would be expanding that, going into more complex multi-department process, maybe processes that involve customers or vendors, the outside world. And then finally, transforming processes, where we're really focused on innovation. We're using analytics, and a system is telling us, in part, where our bottlenecks are and helping us get to the next level. So we're going to go into all of these in more detail, but let's take a quick poll. I want to make sure everybody's still there, and I want to find out where each of you guys are at. So in a minute, I'm going to open up a poll, and just go ahead and indicate which stage you're in. So let's see if I can do this right. Select poll. What phase are you currently in? I'm going to launch it. Okay, so you can just click on the screen. You should just be able to, with your mouse, click on the one that, the phase that you feel you guys are currently in. And the polls are coming in. Looks like 37% are in step 1, digitize documents. 33% now. 35% in organize. 26% in automate. Looks like we have 8% in streamline, which is fantastic. And nobody's in transform yet. No surprise. Polls are coming in. We'll just give it another few more seconds. Okay. So, good. 75% of you voted. Good. We're getting good participation. Thank you. It makes me feel good. All right. So 75% of you guys participated, and it looks like it's almost equally split. About 30% are in step 1, 30% are in step 2, 30% are in step 3, and then 7% sounds like maybe a few people are in step 4. So fantastic. So we're not alone. You know, we're all working on this. We're all trying to get to the next level. So why don't we dive into that now? So I closed the poll. My screen should be back to sharing. If it's not, let me know in the questions queue. But I'm going to now take us through the deep dive. Oops. Okay. So phase 1, digitize documents. Focus is all about reducing paper, reducing storage, and reducing the risk of document loss. Again, for each phase, we'll go ahead and look at 2 things: the pain points, the rewards, and then some of them I'm going to jump to a quick sneak peek demo to show you what it would look like or what it might look like. All right, so the pain points of step 1, we all know this, right? Excessive storage and retrieval, just too much paper, you're spending too much money, not just storing it, but retrieving it, filing, refiling. It's a mess. Information's getting lost. It's annoying, it's a hassle. Millennials hate file cabinets. And either you're dealing with these problems now, or you're probably sitting here and saying, if you're in phase 2, you're like, oh, thank God we're over that. That was just a nightmare to have to deal with. So the rewards of being able to take care of that obviously are key benefits. You're going to get efficiency by being able to have instant access to documents, freeing up that space to be used for higher value-added activities like new employees or more manufacturing or students. You empower continuity by creating a disaster recovery plan for your information, so that if disaster strikes, you actually have a copy of everything. And we've had plenty of clients go through this, whether it's been floods, fires, you name it. And especially here in Southern California, we get pretty much all the natural disasters. So we've had thefts, break-ins that our clients have had. And if you have paper, once it's gone, it's gone. Obviously, if it's digital, then we have a backup. And you empower your enterprise by building a foundation for your digital roadmap. So again, that's definitely the step 1. So the key here is to focus on capture solutions which leverage advanced classification and intelligent extraction. So what I mean by that is you could sit there and scan everything, all those file cabinets one by one, but you'd be better off using the software that's going to, so this is secret number 1, you'd be better off using the software that's going to automatically extract everything. So having all the capabilities like barcodes, zone OCR, text recognition, and then to know what each document is, and then once you know what the document is, to be able to extract the key fields off of those documents. So what does that look like? Let me show you real quick. Here we are in my demo system. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is pull up our capture. Let me just delete one thing real quick. So if I go into my HR folder, I go into my incoming, sorry about that, my onboarding folder. So this is a kind of a start of a workflow process. I'm going to go ahead and delete these two. By the way, this is the Laserfish repository, but you'll notice that there's only one applicant right now. There's B, who's applied for an admin position. So if I go back to QuickFields, which is happens to be our advanced capture software, and what I'm going to do is I could scan a bunch of HR applications and sit there and index them one by one, or here's what an automated process looks like. I just scanned it, it's done. You'll notice that it automatically knew that I had two applications. It extracted all of my key fields, the first name, last name, phone, email, position. It extracted all of that off the page. It even did some fancy stuff like it put a received stamp. And if I go ahead and click save, it's going to auto name and auto file it for me. So if I go back into my folder and I hit refresh, you'll notice that I now have those two applications in there, nicely labeled, and in our system, this actually kicks off a workflow process, and I'll come back to that in a second. But that's what step one should look like, a completely automated system where all you're doing is loading documents into the scanner, and the magic's happening behind the scenes. All right, let's get back to the presentation. Okay. Your other option is to find an experienced, reliable, trustworthy document imaging and scanning services provider. You know, so a good company could come in and scan all your documents at a fraction of the time you can. They could do it on-site or off-site at their secure facility, and they could do it with better quality. This is a software that we've developed for all of our scanning projects, so we track all projects, and we have our own kind of analytics around it. Also, our customers could see in the bottom, you could see a job status. As a customer, you could log in. You could see how many boxes have been prepped or scanned or indexed and what % complete your job is. So anyway, phase one, just to kind of recap, digitize, either outsource to a good company, let them come in and quickly take care of the backlog, or get the best in capture software to automate the scanning process. That's going to make your life a lot easier and allow you to go to phase two. All right, so this is where we look to go beyond creating an electronic file cabinet and really having a smart system. And when you do scan your records, you have a new set of challenges. You know, now you probably still have the same paper-based processes. You're just scanning paper at the end of the process rather than filing it into a file folder. And since you don't have centralized control over those processes, you're not sure that those policies are being followed. Because by the time that final file gets scanned, we don't know how it went, if it really followed what we want our workflow process to be. Duplication of work is still happening. People are still making their own copies in different departments. Everybody's keeping a copy. So, you know, this phase is all about creating those efficiencies and making sure that everybody's on the same page. So how do we do that? What kind of rewards can we expect from that is if we get a good solution to that, it's going to eliminate the time-consuming manual data entry. Everybody in the organization is going to have central access to documents. So we're only going to capture it once, but everybody can access it. So people aren't making copies anymore. No more department information silos. Reducing the redundant work activity. So what does that look like? Let me show you. Let's go back into the demo system. And I'm back here in my Laserfish repository. So Of course, if I needed to access now Lindsay Jones's job application, I could access it. I could see the document. I could have searched for it based on the key fields. So I can have my search. So if I'm an HR person, the search that I would ordinarily have up would be my employee applications. So I could search and find Lindsay's document at any time. But not just that, the power of the system is, let's just say I logged in and I don't want to do a search. I just want to be able to find a needle in the haystack. So if I just type in what I'm looking for, there is a Lindsay's file. I could click on it. And what's even better is we have full text search capabilities built right in. So any word on any page is full text searchable. So let's just say that I'm looking for a permit as an example, and I'm looking for a permit 241. Somebody's calling in. I'm a government agency. I just come in here to my quick search bar. I search on 241. I see everything that contains the word permit. If I scroll down, I might say, let's see, what was I looking for? Oh, yeah, I'd say, oh yeah, this was regarding the sewer. If I single click in the bottom, it shows me the context of where my search phrase occurs. So for example, if I click here, it shows me that. So, so I say, yeah, this is what I wanted, permit 241 for the connection. And once I click on that, it's going to take me right to that page, which in this case, it happens to be the last page, page 20 of 20, and it highlights my search phrase for me in green, as you can see. So you're starting to hopefully see what phase 2 looks like. Is I've digitized my documents, I've organized them in a system that allows me to go in by folders, by field, or by text to quickly find what I'm looking for. But that's not it. My favorite is using the, being able to find what I'm looking for from within my line of business system. Everybody on the line has a main system they use. Whether, in this case, we're going to use a student information system. So if I'm looking for a student, but pretend this is not a student. Pretend this is an accounting transaction. This is an invoice I'm looking at. Or it's an insurance, it's a agent, or an insurance file I'm looking at. Or let's pretend it's an HR file. Whatever your system is, whatever line of business you're in. So what we're showing here is I'm working in this system, and now I have a need to see Lazaro's file. We have a out-of-the-box, no programming integration that just kind of sits here. There's this L that just hangs out on your key systems, and it can be configured. It basically does a screen scrape. I won't go too techy, but in a second, if I click on it, it's going to take me right to my, it's going to log me in. It's going to find that document and open it for me. So we call this image enabling your line of business system. So you can be in your system, you could be working in that screen. This even works with things like Outlook and Excel. And if I need to find something, I just click the button, and a second later, my document pops up. So with that, although there is more to it than that, with that, I think that's a good summary of what to expect once you've completed phase 1 and phase 2. Everything is digitized. You're in a system that's easy to use, easy to find stuff, and it's integrated with your core systems. All right, how am I doing on time? 11:30. I think that should be good. So let's go to the next one. By the way, once we get to step 5, I'm going to pause and take questions. I know we're covering a lot of material. I'm going to need a water break, and I'm sure your head's going to be spinning a little bit. So feel free to start putting your questions in the question box. Looks like we have some hands raised. Let me just make sure everything is okay. Okay. All right, I think we should be okay. All right. So phase 3, one of my favorites, automate processes. So going paperless is fantastic, but phase 3 is all about saying, instead of scanning at the end of the process, let's scan in the beginning of the process. Let's capture the content digitally from the point of origination. So the key pain points here is digitizing and organizing in a paper format. You can eliminate the manual processes and standardize ad hoc digital processes. Like for example, a lot of people have approvals that go through emails. So that's a good example that could be automated. Because emails, there's no tracking system there. You're just hoping that somebody doesn't forget to approve it and that somebody doesn't forget to follow up on it if they don't. So, integrating with your line of business system, you're going through a process, but then when it's done, somebody still has to key in that information to the line of business. Well, it'd be a lot better if it was integrated and we push that data and we let the line of business know what just happened. So the end result, you optimize costs, reduce complexity and risk, and increase operational efficiency. So the rewards here are pretty huge. We're talking about being able to automate the whole process from capture to routing to review and approval. If it's a paper document, we can use a workflow process. If it's like a form, we can use an e-forms process. And now we've really made the paperless dream a reality, because ideally we've scanned all our paper and we're not generating any new paper. We're certainly not storing it in file cabinets. We're not generating it. If somebody sends it to us, like for example in accounts payable, if somebody mails us an invoice, we're going to scan it as soon as we get it. So we're literally as paper-free or paperless as you can possibly get, and we really have a digital workplace. So what does that look like in terms of impact? Here's an example of accounts payable, as I've been mentioning. If you look down the left side, that's the manual steps. If you look down the right side, it's the automated steps. So just the cost of processing the paper invoice can be cut in half or more by automating AP. Paper checks, again, cut by half or more by doing digital payments. So the total cost can go from $22 an invoice from receipt through payment all the way down to under 10. So let's go back to our HR example. We scanned those files, and let's see what just a quick workflow would look like. So if you recall, we scanned those files, we saved them into, or it automatically went into where it needed to go, which was the incoming folder. Sorry, I'm in the wrong folder, not healthcare, human resources. Managing a lot here. New applicants, right? So they came here. So I don't know if you noticed or not, but as soon as these got here, a workflow ran, which in this case allowed, or alerted, I should say, the next person in the process. Here is 11:23 today. The next person in the process, who happens to be Riley, the recruiter, says, "Hey Riley, we just got a new application for a test engineer. Please go ahead and take a look at it and see what you want to do with it." So let me log out as admin. So if I go back here and I click the link, it's going to take me to the document, and now Riley can go ahead and make his selection. So this is how easy our workflow process is. Imagine what you would have to do with paper. You would have to walk it to somebody's desk, get their signature, or if you're emailing, we talked about that. In the way this demo is built, at least, all Riley has to do is take a look at it and decide if he's going to reject or screen. So if he says screen and he closes it, it's going to go ahead and leave his box, and it's going to move on to the next step in the process. So you'll notice that that already happened. So it went to the next step, who's the hiring manager, Matt Manager, and the workflow sent an email to Matt saying, "Hey Matt, you have a new applicant, James Saunders, for the test engineer position, please go ahead and review it. You could imagine the same thing would happen here. Matt could click the link and open it. You could accept or reject it, and it moves on in the process. You could do this from your office. You could do this from your mobile device. We have a mobile app. And so that's the way automating processes looks like. Did you see how quick and elegant and sexy that was? That's the way it should work once you're in automate processes. All right, so let's get back to our presentation again. Okay, I think I actually do need to take a drink of water before we go on. Okay. So that was a lot, right? Now we've automated all the processes. What's next? Well, now we're focused on streamlining. So what we did in phase 3 was to take the paper processes and digitize them. But in phase 4, we want to take we digitized the workflow process, but now we want to digitize the document itself, as well as being able to make any other improvements that we could see from an end-to-end corporate standpoint. So again, cross departments, including customers, so including students, the public, agents, insured, vendors, potential applicants. We really want to be able to make it an all-inclusive system and streamline the whole process from end to end. And so looking at some of the pain points at this phase, so you're likely dealing with the lack of reporting. You may be dealing with changes to staffing or processes. That's going to make it difficult to get things done. Security and compliance kind of comes into play. So if we can streamline, the rewards we get are streamlined, simplified business processes, continuous improvement, overall better compliance, data oversight, and we're starting to use reports and analytics to just improve the process. So what I want to show here is very quickly what we do to help our customers with that. So let's take a look. I have a few forms pulled up. So these are just some samples that I'm going to walk through. So this is using Laserfish's forms. And when we say forms, it's the idea that we're going to take any form and make it into an e-form. But this is not just basic HTML. This has all the business logic and workflow behind it. So here for a city government, we have a public records request. So we're completely automating that process. So as soon as the public fills that out and they click submit, it goes through a whole process with the city clerk, and it automates the city clerk's job of satisfying that. And it also then tracks it for reporting purposes to prove that we're responsive and we're meeting our guidelines. Same kind of thing with this purchase order request. Now, all of these seem simple, but this is just the first form to get things started. As I click submit and this purchase order request goes to purchasing, there's other dynamic fields that start popping up. I'm just showing you the starting point, just trying to give some ideas. So hopefully you get some light bulbs going and start thinking about all the forms. What I always like to say is any form that has your logo on it is a great candidate to be digitized and automated using Laserfish forms. There's an invoice submission, so this is kind of like a document upload portal that has workflow behind it, as opposed to like just a simple box or Dropbox. There's that job application that we were looking at earlier. I could put a link to my website and have the applicants fill this out, and then that would start the workflow process. They could digitally e-sign it. They could also upload their resume and other related documents. So here's a vendor application. So if I'm an aerospace company and I have different suppliers, I can manage the supplier or vendor application process. and recertifications and things of that nature. Here's a live one that we actually did for College of the Desert. This is the degree application. So if I'm a student, I don't have to come in and wait in line and grab a form and go to the counter. They've completely eliminated that. Our contact there, Dr. Annabelle Neary, has actually won a number of higher education awards for kind of how she's transformed their process. But this is that form. Here's a file transcript. Just, different examples, electronic compliance forms. So you could see, and we can make it look really nice and pretty and match your corporate branding and identity. These are just some of our kind of out-of-the-box demos. What is really a game changer is our new business process library. So what would typically involve either our customer or us or both of us spending a lot of time documenting requirements, creating a current state flowchart, creating a future state flowchart, and then building the system, testing it, piloting it, and then putting it into production. We're able to eliminate 80% of that with the business process library. So we're up to, I think, about 100 templates. And when I say template, these are the full workflows, the forms, the workflow, the logic that has come from the community. So I can come in here, and depending on what I'm looking for, if I'm in IT, or if I'm in records management, or if I'm in higher education, I can come in here and I could look at my available forms. I could pick the one that I want, like here is a transcript evaluation. And when I pick it, I see, kind of like downloading an app in the App Store, I get some screenshots so I could see what the workflow looks like. And so like I said, I mean, this is a pretty elaborate, this is the full workflow. And most of these are taken from actual customers. So Laserfish did a good job of surveying customers and kind of seeing how people were doing it. And they either took the best one, or they took the best of what everybody was doing and put it into one. So here's that. Here's a full transcript kind of evaluation workflow process that I could just plug and play. Cuts down on our consulting dollars, and we're okay with that because remember what I told you in the beginning, we're all about client delight. So whatever gets you to delight as quickly and maintains it, that's what we're all about. So it shows you what forms comes along with it, and shows you kind of like the audit trail history. So if I like this and I want it, all I have to do is click download, and it'll just go right into my repository. And like I said, that takes care of 80% of it, and all I need to do is just update the balance of the 20%, and I'm up and rolling. So that's very exciting. So the fact that we have eForms to automate processes, and then we have the business process library to make that process shorter, that implementation time shorter and less costly, is huge. And so that's kind of what I wanted to share as far as the hacks for stage 4. And now finally we go to stage 5. So phase 5 is all about innovation. How can we let the system have the analytics and tell us what's happening and tell us what we need to work on. And so the rewards here, oops, I just realized that I'm not sharing my screen. There we go. Apologize about that. So the problems here: limited analytics, processes not aligned. And so what we're doing in this regard is moving from having a reporting and analytics engine to having it be, what they usually refer to as descriptive to prescriptive. So being able to have the system be intelligent enough to tell us what's happening and how to make things better, basically. So an example of this is, so here's again a process. It probably looks pretty typical AP process from the time the vendor creates an invoice till the time that you used to file it away. And here is what it might look like afterwards. And remember that process transformation isn't just about software. I know I've been showing Laserfish But it's not just about software. It's about, it includes finding partners who are experts and can do a process better, faster, cheaper than you can, that it's their core competency and not yours. So this might be an example where, you know, we are providing both the software and services where we're receiving documents, we're processing it, and you're doing maybe the most important part, which is coding and approving, because you want to maintain that accounting control. But everything else you're not worrying about. It's completely taken care of either through software and or outsourcing. So that's an example of thinking about process transformation and not just thinking inside the box with, you know, what's a software solution. Okay, so you might be asking yourself, where do we go from here? Why is this so important? Why should we, this kind of overwhelming, where do I start? All these questions are coming up. Hopefully we've given some ideas, but I know you guys have questions, so why don't we go ahead and pause here, take some questions, and after this we're going to look at case studies, we're going to discuss change management, and we're going to take more questions later, but I do want to just kind of pause and see where we're at right now. So let me open up the questions here. Okay, questions. Okay, so looks like we have a question. Can Laserfish Connector work with Outlook to scan an unstructured email for keywords to connect to Laserfish, or does it only work with Outlook forms? Unstructured email for keywords. Okay, so depending on what use case you're talking about, if you're talking about, I receive an email and somebody's asking me about a specific item, I can go ahead and have it, have Connector from Outlook pull up that item from within my repository. If what you're talking about is more like an email archiving, like, you know, if it meets certain criteria that it needs to be archived, that it automatically archives it, that it does not do, but we do have other solutions for that as well. So you could certainly manually drag and drop the email real quick into Outlook. You could save it, file save to Outlook from, file save to Laserfish from Outlook. But also, if you have an email archiving requirement, we have a system that has intelligence that looks at all emails and based on certain business rules, auto files them and auto archives them into Laserfish. So hopefully that answers that question. If not, we can take that one offline. Brandon asks, can we receive a copy of the presentation? Absolutely, this is being recorded. You'll get a copy of the deck and the recording. Ashley asks, in the case of a company financial audit, would the files be considered an original document? Great question. So the answer is yes. You need to check with your attorneys, but the answer is yes. And the way that works is being able to have your process documentation, you know, that says, you know, as of this date, we began using this system. Here is our process. Every day we get the mail, we scan it in as it comes in. We quality check the images in this way, and then after X days, we shred the originals. As long as you show you have a process and you've been doing this and it's tested, it's been proven time and time again in court, and certainly for audits, that this is the original copy. And that's been in existence for a long time, even in the microfilm days, which is kind of where we started. Next question is, what kind of equipment do you recommend for digitizing documents? Well, the best equipment, there's there's this high volume, high quality equipment. It's called AMI. Yeah, Vicky. So if you're kind of evaluating and you're saying, hey, we want to do this, we want to use the best software. Now, what's the best hardware to use? We are certified resellers with all of them out there, and then we can make some recommendations depending on what the volume is, what your goals are. I mean, we work with all of them: Kodak, Canon, Fujitsu, Epson, and different ones have different scanners that we like for different documents. But happy to talk to you about that more. If you have a true high volume requirement, some of the scanners we use here are German scanners. They're not really kind of part of the U.S. commercial, the mainstream stuff. Next one is, can we learn to build our own forms? Yeah, absolutely. So if we have time, I'll go ahead and show the forms designer. Drag and drop, very easy to build your own forms and apply the workflow. Certainly anybody from IT can do it, and any of your tech-savvy business users can learn to do it. We offer lots of training. Laserfish offers training. We have online certification, and the goal is to empower our users to be able to do that so that you can get the most value. So all of that is available. But yet, if you don't want to do that and you want us to take care of it, that's also available as well. All right, so that looks like that's all the questions I have up until now. So let's see, let's time check. We're at 11:53. So I'm going to have to speed up here. So I think we've covered most of what I intended to. I probably forgot a few things, but I don't think so far. So, okay. So let's take a look at the case studies. Honestly, I have a lot of examples. I didn't even have time to put in as many of the case studies as I wanted. As far as digitized documents, we have a lot of customers that come to us and just want to scan what they have. They have a lot of records. They just need to digitize and free up space. LACCD has been a client of ours. We had a 5-year contract. They went out to bid again, and we won it again for another 3 years, $2 million contract. LAUSD is another example of multi-awarded RFPs that we won, millions of dollars of scanning, many examples of customers that just need to digitize. Usually, though, what happens is we help them get to the next level, which is organizing content. So Crane is an example of a customer that we provided a Laserfish system, and we scan and on a bi-weekly basis we scan and auto load everything into their system, and they have a few use cases where they scan themselves. So there's an example of jumping right to phase 2 by getting Laserfish and using our scanning services and just not even having to worry about equipment and software and hardware. Ducommun is an example of coming to the table and needing to automate a process. In their case, the starting process was accounts payable. They needed to automate that. So we did. We automated it. At the time, they had one kind of main company. They then bought a company that was their equal size, so they doubled in size. And that other company had their own AP process. So we standardized those two. Then the management team wanted the capital approval process or capital appropriation process to be standardized across all divisions, and we did that. And in the meanwhile, they had different departments that had scanning requirements, and they called us in and we took care of all their scanning needs. College of the Desert, a great example of streamlining processes. So I think I talked about it earlier. They were the ones that came to the table, and Dr. Neary had a vision for eForms, and seeing that the students are not going to want to come and stand at counters anymore, and just being able, the idea that a student could be anywhere at home, anywhere on campus, they could be at Starbucks, and if they want to do a add move change of their degree, the major, add a minor, they should just be able to do that from anywhere. They shouldn't have to come and wait in line. And then the LA County Sheriff's Department has been an exciting one. You know, the sheriff had a mandate to cut down their hiring process from, I think it was over 9 months, because they just, it's, as we know, becoming a police officer requires a lot of background checking, but theirs was extraordinarily long. And now with Laserfish workflow and forms, an applicant can fill out an e-form, which used to be a 27-page document for them. Now they could fill it out in bits and pieces. And as soon as they fill out the first bit, for example, the references. So as soon as I fill out all my family and friends and I click submit on that part of the form, the workflow turns around and emails, it starts a new process and it emails all those people, you know, my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, my best friend, and it emails them the reference form to start collecting references. So they went from this manual sequential process to this automated parallel process, both for their internal actions as well as the outside actions. So I wish I had more time to expand on these case studies, but I'm coming pretty close here. It seems like we might go 5-10 minutes over, so I'll try my best to wrap up as quickly as possible. So I've covered this. This will be in the slides, but basically this is a kind of my summary of the hard way of doing each of the steps and the easy way, or the leapfrog, or the hack for each of the ways. So I think I've touched on this. It'll be in the slides. I think this is a real valuable slide. So the next question, how do we manage change? I like this quote, digital transformation is really people transformation. And so my advice would be very simply, pick the right software, and the key word there is ease. It's got to be easy to use, easy to administer, easy to design. There's a lot of expensive, complicated softwares out there, and we see a lot of customers going through failed implementations. They buy a system, it takes years to implement, it costs a lot, maintenance is a lot. Pick the right provider, because you can get the same software from 5 different people and have 5 different experiences. Do a proof of concept before you buy. Once you buy, do a pilot. Go for the low-hanging fruit or the high-value win. And then, you know, balance the upfront planning with phased iterative approach. So what I mean by that is, you know, gone are the days of waterfall and trying to figure out everything up front. With our workflow, what we found is we have to do some upfront planning to know what we're getting into, but typically in a new engagement, we're delivering a demo every week or every 2 weeks with the progress we've made. And that's what really gives our client the understanding of what to expect and what to modify. Trying to think it through up front usually just creates delays, and many times when we get to implementation, it's never what the customer put in their Visio flowchart anyway. Okay, so as somebody else said, I guess to kind of wrap up the change management section, it's not the strongest that survives, nor the smartest, but the most adaptable to change. So we have to embrace change, my friends. Take the next step, and that next step, I'm going to go ahead and put a link to the cheat sheet that I mentioned, the one-pager in the slides, sorry, in the chat box in a second. The assessment is available at that address, web.amipaperless.com, DTA. So there's kind of 2 versions. There's the assessment and the roadmap. If all you want is the assessment, you can go to that page now. There's a question that will ask you whether you want the full roadmap or not. You don't want to just say no. What it'll do is it'll link you to Laserfish's site, and this is what the page is going to look like, web.amipaperless.com. I actually changed the address to make it easier. It's /DTA. It'll link you to the Laserfish site where you could take a quiz. It'll take 10-15 minutes, and it'll kind of give you a nice report. But what we're offering for this webinar is a roadmap, something that we typically would do to meet with you to document what is there to digitize, inventory, what should you scan, what should you store, what should you shred, because we never recommend that you scan everything. You can usually shred a lot, and some of it should go into offsite storage. So basically, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, phase 5 will produce a full report and roadmap. Usually that costs over $2,000, but for those of you attending the webinar, as long as you sign up by next Thursday or the first 25, because we can only offer this to a limited number of companies, we'll go ahead and do that. So again, we'll meet with you, we'll come on site, we'll do a full assessment. You'll get something that you could present to other departments and to management. It'll include roadmap, flow charts, ROI, and cost-benefit analysis. Typically, that's a billable engagement that we would charge over $2,000 for. But as part of this webinar, we're giving the opportunity for the first 25 companies or until next Thursday. So when you hit the page, it'll by default say, yes, I want to take advantage of that offer, and if you are interested in it, just leave it at yes and click take my assessment. If you're not interested, put no, and then hit take my assessment, and you'll go to the free assessment. And with that, we conclude the presentation. Interestingly enough, I'm right on time. By the way, there's going to be a survey that's going to pop up as soon as the webinar ends. Please take 13.2 seconds and fill it out. Your feedback is very important to us, especially the third question is about a testimonial. If you would recommend this session, if you found value, we'd love to use your testimonial in promoting this webinar to future attendees. And so with that, let me just see if there's any other questions that have come in. Okay, looks like there's a few. So does the mobile app allow a user to snap a pic of a document to import into Laserfish? Yes, absolutely. You can essentially take a photo of any documents, or if you're at a job site, if there's a claim, if there's an accident, auto accident, a home, whatever the use case is, you can absolutely take a picture of a document or anything. And if you do it using the app, so it actually doesn't save it on the user's local phone, it would save it right into your repository on your server at the office, or if you're a cloud customer on the cloud. So yes, that's absolutely available. And it looks like that was really the only other question that had come in. So with that, I just want to go ahead and thank everybody for your time. I hope you found some valuable ideas to progress down your digital transformation journey. Have a fabulous day. Thanks again for attending, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Oh, and I just remembered the cheat sheet, so I'm going to put that in the chat box now. And with that, goodbye.